Live from WLNS TV, this is 6 News at 5.
One way or another, it looks like John Engler will soon be out as the interim president of MSU. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson. A special meeting of the board has been called for tomorrow morning, and MSU trustee Brian Musalem has said, quote, if Engler doesn't resign, we are going to vote to remove him. Kaylee Maritet has been following the story as it's developed throughout the day today. She's here for you live in our studio. What's the latest right now, Kaylee?
Lauren, the community, MSU students, and some of the Board of Trustee members see President John Engler's time coming to a close. Engler took over the job last February after Luanna Simon stepped down. It's been rough going for Engler since day one, with several controversies during his tenure. MSU Board of Trustees member Diane Byram says Engler's recent comments about survivors of Dr. Larry Nassar enjoying their time in the spotlight was the last straw.
Following last week's news articles about one more time John Engler's comments that are hurtful.
This is 6 News at 6.
Tonight, word that John Engler is expected to resign as interim president of MSU. It's our top story at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson.
And I'm Sherry Jones. Trustee Joel Ferguson says the board is expecting a resignation letter from John Engler at any time.
This comes as the Board of Trustees call for an emergency meeting tomorrow where they reportedly plan to fire Engler if he doesn't step down first.
Kaylee Maritet has been following the story today. She's here for you now with the very latest. Kaylee, what can you tell us?
Sherry and Lauren, Board of Trustees Chair Diane Byram says after Engler's comments last week, something had to be done. Interim school president John Engler on the way out. It comes after yet another controversial comment he made about Nassar survivors, saying some of them are still enjoying that moment in the spotlight.
It really is a step backward because of his actions, his comments, and it creates an environment where it's very difficult to move forward and for people to heal, particularly the survivors.
We also just got off the phone with another trustee.
Kelly Tebay was just elected to the board in November and took office 2 weeks ago.
She tells 6 News that, quote, one way or another, it's over for John Engler.
I really feel like regardless of, whether he submits a letter tonight or, we take a vote tomorrow morning, it's done. And it's very clear that he will not be employed by Michigan State after tomorrow morning. And so I'm feeling really good about that.
Well, a group of deans at MSU also took a stand asking for Engler's removal from his post.
The MSU Dean's Council says it's ready for a new leader at MSU and sent a letter to the Board of Trustees today.
Dana White continues our coverage now live from our newsroom.
Dana, you spoke with a representative for the council this afternoon, so tell us what they had to say.
Sherry and Lauren, the MSU Dean's Council sent a letter to the Board of Trustees today with 23 signatures on it, saying it does not support President Engler's continued leadership of the university. The letter says in part that Engler's comments about Larry Nassar survivors enjoying the spotlight are hurtful and harm the people the university is supposed to protect.
Seemed to be an appropriate and really necessary time for us to engage with the board.
The Dean's Council sent a similar letter to the Board of Trustees at this same time last year, saying university leadership needs to protect a culture that's transparent, open, trusting, and safe.
John Engler resigns as interim president of Michigan State University. It's our top story tonight at 11. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones. John Engler answers the MSU Board of Trustees' request that he step down. Earlier tonight, he let the board know his last day will be next Wednesday, January 23rd. He's leaving MSU just shy of a year as its interim president. The Board of Trustees appointed him to the job January 31st of last year. He took over for Luanna K. Simon, who stepped down as university president in the wake of the Larry Nassar sexual assault scandal. Our Dana White has been following this story. She's here for you now live in our studio. Dana, what more can you tell us about this?
Sherry, interim President Engler sent this letter to trustee Diane Byram tonight, saying he's going to do what the majority of the board is asking him to do, resign from his position. The Board of Trustees meet tomorrow morning, and several members told Engler they were going to fire him if he didn't resign tonight.
This is a breaking news alert from 6 News.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this 6 News special report regarding the announcement of the new permanent president of Michigan State University. I'm Jorma Duran.
Trustee Tebay?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Congratulations.
I want to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to the Michigan State University Board of Trustees and the Presidential Search Committee for giving me the opportunity to serve this great university. MSU is an extraordinary institution, the pioneer land-grant university, one that helped define that noble mission, and one that accomplishes the difficult feat of providing students affordable access to excellence.
And once again, the Board of Trustees has just named Dr. Samuel Stanley Jr. as the 21st president of Michigan State University.
This is 6 News at 6.
The motion carries.
Congratulations.
It's official. A new president has been chosen to take the helm at Michigan State University. It's our top story at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson.
And I'm Sherry Jones. His name is Dr. Samuel Stanley Jr., and he's currently the president of Stony Brook University in New York.
The vote to approve him was unanimous, but as our Capitol correspondent Tim Skubic reports, some people are upset about the selection process.
Out of the last 9 presidents at MSU, only 2 were non-Spartans and did not bleed green and white. Former governor and Spartan Jim Blanchard argues it was time for the inbreeding to stop.
I think it's good to have someone who has not gone to Michigan State or taught here or been an officer here. I think it's a real advantage. Gives us a whole new look.
And the new look on an 8-0 vote by the MSU board is Dr. Samuel Stanley Jr., a medical doctor with a strong academic resume, but still willing to learn about Spartan Nation.
I'm committed to being a great listener. I'm committed to learning from you. I take this role very humbly. I have a lot to live up to, but I will do my best. I will do my best to be the president that Michigan State needs to move forward, and I wish for all of your help, and please help me succeed in doing that.
So how are Spartans overall feeling about the new president?
Kiera Hay was on campus today working to answer that question, but people didn't have a lot to say about Dr. Stanley himself.
Instead, they spoke about the selection process.
Caution, closed search ahead. Just an hour before MSU announced its new president, protesters were out here. They actually wrapped this caution tape around the railings, and they said that's how they felt the process was, closed off, not letting anyone in, and they were disappointed that it wasn't more transparent.
We think that the search process really hurt us.
No protesters were chanting or marching outside of MSU's campus, but their voices were heard.
Well, because of his track record, officials at MSU say they're thrilled to have Dr. Stanley come on board as the 21st president.
And apparently they're not the only ones. There's a contingent at Stanley's old school who says they're glad he's leaving there too.
Well, Siobhan Klepfer is here for you now live from our newsroom to talk about some of their concerns. Siobhan?
Well, Lauren, Sherry, critics say it has been rough going at Stony Brook for the past few years. Professors have lost their jobs, programs have been cut, fees have been raised, all because of a financial problem that at least one expert says doesn't exist. It all happened at Stony Brook, a school of about 26,000, which is over on Long Island, New York. In fact, the faculty grew so concerned about what was happening at the school that 55 professors wrote a letter to Stanley's boss in 2017 saying, quote, current leadership at Stony Brook appears to be failing the institution. And the head of the Graduate Student Employees Union says Spartans should be concerned.
I would say that he presents a very good front. He's very good at being a public relations type character, right? So he interviews well, but he doesn't govern well and he doesn't manage well. And you're in for kind of a rude awakening.
Former Michigan State University President Luana K. Simon was back in court today. It's day 6 of her preliminary hearing, which has spanned several months now. Simon's charged with lying to police during their sexual assault investigation into former MSU sports doctor Larry Nassar. This morning, University trustee Brian Masalem took the stand. He testified that Simon was part of discussions about how to handle the case. Also today, a state police detective took the stand and claimed he knew Simon lied to him.
Do you have any doubt the defendant lied to you in that interview on May 1st of 2018?
No.
Well, the hearing is set to resume next Thursday. When it's over, a judge will decide if there's enough evidence to send this case to trial.
We have an unexpected development tonight regarding former Michigan State University President Luana K. Simon.
The university just announced that she plans to retire next month.
Simon stepped down as president of MSU in January of last year, but she was still a university employee as outlined in her contract. After 45 years with Michigan State, Luanna K. Simon will retire effective August 31st. The verdict is in. A 12-person jury found former Michigan State University Dean William Strample guilty on 2 of the 3 charges he faced.
Strample was one of Larry Nassar's former bosses at MSU.
Kaylee Marintet is here for you now with what both sides have to say after that verdict was handed down.
They should be very proud. They stood up for themselves, they told the truth, and they were believed.
Prosecutors happy with the verdict in the William Strample trial today, but they didn't get all the convictions they hoped for.
Disappointed a little bit on the CSC conviction and the lack of conviction, but very pleased with the fact that these jurors heard these women, believed them, and held the defendant accountable for his behavior.
Strample was found guilty of 1 count of misconduct in office and 2 counts of willful neglect of duty, but a jury found him not guilty of second-degree criminal sexual conduct. His defense attorney had mixed emotions.
We're happy with the fact that he was acquitted of the most serious charge of sexual assault. We respect the jury's decision in this case. We're disappointed that he was found guilty of any of these charges, but we'll address the rest of this case at sentencing.
Prosecutors say Strample failed to make sure Larry Nassar followed new procedures to protect patients after one of them filed a complaint. Nassar was ultimately convicted of sexually abusing young women. Now Strample, who was accused of making inappropriate comments to students, got convicted too.
It sends a very clear message to MSU that you can't say things the way that this particular defendant did to these women. The context that he said these words to them, his behavior simply was not acceptable. They all need to be aware that you can and will be held accountable for your behaviors. And if that is only words, then so be it.
Strample will be back in court July 31st for sentencing. Here for you in Lansing, Kaylee Marintet, 6 News.
After months of waiting, a decision has been reached. Former Michigan State University President Luanna K. Simon is headed to trial. It's our top story tonight at 6. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sherry Jones.
And I'm Lauren Thompson. An Eaton County judge ruled there is enough evidence for Simon to stand trial. She's accused of lying to police during their investigation into the university's handling of the Larry Nassar case.
Our Aaron Jordan has covered this story since day one. He's here for you now live in our newsroom. Aaron, what can you tell us tonight?
Sherry and Lauren, in this 6-page ruling by Eaton County District Court Judge Julie Ranke, she said Simon's statement to detectives that she did not know about Nassar specifically in 2014 appears to have impeded their investigation. Police say Simon lied when she said she wasn't aware of Nassar or the specific allegations in Amanda Tomashow's Title IX complaint until news broke about Nassar's crimes in 2016. But the judge ruled that Simon's knowledge of the case can be inferred based on the Title IX investigator and Simon's executive assistant treating Tomashow's case as an emergency of which Simon needed to be informed. Attorney General Dana Nessel released a statement saying, quote, "Today's decision to move forward with trial brings survivors another step closer to receiving the answers they deserve. After months of preliminary examination and thoughtful consideration by Judge Julie Ranke, we are ready to bring the facts to a jury of Miss Simon's peers." Simon's attorney, Lee Silver, meanwhile, said while they respect the court's decision, he added, quote, "We are disappointed by the district court's ruling in light of the stark lack of evidence to support the charges against Luanna Simon. We plan to vigorously defend Dr. Simon and fully expect to prevail in the circuit court."
Well, that Simon decision came down just moments after we got word that an MSU trustee called it quits.
Nancy Schilting hasn't been on the board for very long. She was appointed by Governor Rick Snyder less than a year ago.
But she says she's leaving because of the school's reluctance to launch an independent investigation into the Larry Nassar scandal.
Ashley Graham is here for now live in our studio with more on the former trustee's striking decision.
Lauren and Sherry, here is a copy of the letter that Nancy Schlichting sent to Governor Gretchen Whitmer on Saturday. It says that her decision to resign from the Board of Trustees was difficult. Schlichting says she agreed to join the board to change the attitudes and beliefs of the trustees towards the Nassar survivors and to support those survivors any way she could. But over the last year, she said, quote, "It has become very clear to me that my commitment to have an independent review of the Nassar situation and to waive privilege so the truth can come out is not shared by the MSU board chair, legacy board members, and some newer trustees." Schlichting also said she continues to support MSU's new president, Samuel Stanley, and she says he will provide the leadership needed to move the university forward.